Welcome back, episode 121 of Revisited, and this is one of the I don't remember if this was actually requested.
Yes, it was by Dutch.
Okay. I just didn't know if it was this particular video because he's done a couple of Spider-Man videos. But we are talking about Spider-Man Far From Home Broke My Heart by our boy HiTop Films. Yes. And by yes, I mean no, because HiTop Films is not very good. I think he covets artistry more than whatever is going on in the scene. The way shots are framed, the colors, that type of thing. More so than, hey, we're just showcasing a story here.
Which is odd, because I wonder what the issues, if that is what the issues is, I wonder what it is we're here, because, it's fine. Fine. I'm not a big, shot guy or composition. There was nothing where I was just like, or... I don't know. It's not my forte,
but that seems very much like us when it comes to animation type of thing.
Yeah.
We unless it's really ugly, we're not gonna go ugh. For the most part, it's just gonna be like, yeah, I didn't really see anything wrong with it. So, even when it's really good, it's just like, yeah, okay.
So even if it's not gonna be really ugly, it's just gonna be something that either he particularly didn't like or it was just bad.
Mm-hmm.
In which case, we're talking about something that might not even be the case for whatever he's talking about.
I'll tell you something that absolutely will be the case. The whole mentorship, it should be his own. Shut the up, dude. I get it. But at this point, we're coming off of, within the space of 10 years, 5 Spider-Man movies where he was his own dude. It's okay to have a 15-year-old kid be the mentor of, or the mentee of what is noted to be one of the greatest superheroes in the world.
But again, we can save that for when the actual argument comes, potentially.
Mm-hmm.
Even though
this is a fine movie at best.
It is very fine. It is a 7 on its best day, a 6 on a normal day. 6.5. Too much of the teachers.
Yeah, that's fine. Whatever.
I got a couple laughs from them, but then at a certain point, I'm just like, come on now, come on. There's nothing that I could point to that I'm just like, ugh, or bad.
I will say, no matter what, still one of my favorite fights in all of superhero-dom is Beck versus Peter, where he's just thing with his mind the entire time.
Fantastic.
And it sucks because I would have really liked this movie to be like a cliffhanger where he turns over the glasses and it's noted that Beck is not actually a good guy in the next movie, because we get it just a smidge of it with Happy where Peter's like, are you real? I would have loved an entire movie of Peter just not recognizing if something is real or not.
Other stuff we gotta go to.
Have you heard what they're doing with Spider-Man 4? They're fighting for what they want to do with it. So, one side wants street level Spider-Man,
of course,
and the other side wants more multiversal Spider-Man.
Of course.
And everyone's just like, I don't know which side is which. It's very likely Sony wants the multiversal stuff because they made $2 billion off of Spidey. And
you have the opportunities to also branch out, because if you just go, hey, here's Spider-Man and Morbius, then you can beef up the Morbius 2
that's not happening.
By going, and there's Spider-Man.
What's going to happen is more Andrew and Toby.
Absolutely. But you can still see him hopping into a portal and him just hopping into Morbius world for 5 minutes and then punching somebody, and then that starts a chain reaction where he starts shaking his fist at Spider-Man.
Either way, you set it up for a street level Spider-Man and give it to us.
The temptation is too
I understand. The money. I also got into an argument with someone about they were like, I thought they wanted to make Spider-Man street level because that's relatable. If you're not street level, you're not relatable. And it's like, you goof. That's not the way to make people relatable. You don't have to be doing street level crimes to be a relatable person. Oh, dude, I'm tired of the argument. Description, boys.
Spider-Man Far From Home is a film that HiTop Films did not like.
Oh, I forgot about his descriptions where he just keeps saying HiTop Films and Spider-Man Far From Home just to try to algorithm that up.
This is the last video HiTop Films would do on the MCU Spider-Man.
He did another one.
No, he didn't.
He did two more.
He's true to his word. This is a sequel to the hit video, in quotation marks, Spider-Man Homecoming is a bad Spider-Man movie. The next episode of Sam Raimi's Spider-Man will be out this month. HiTop Films will be done talking about Spider-Man and making Spider-Man video essays, question marks in parentheses, as soon as HiTop Films finishes the Spider-Man Raimi trilogy. I hope you enjoy Far From Home more than I did. I really do. That's a bad description. Yeah, like I said, this really just has to be from what I can only assume, because like I said, there's not too much wrong with it. It's just not really anything amazing about it. It just got to be that this isn't hashtag not my Spider-Man.
And that's funny coming from me, who is hashtag not my Superman for Man of Steel. But my God, that period is not Superman.
That's a whole new character. This is just the same character put into a different situation. But this month is just not him.
All right, let's get into it.
Mr. Stark? What's up, Mr. Stark? Mr. Stark? Mr. Stark, it smells like a new car in here. Hey, Mr. Stark, what should I do? Gotta impress Mr. Stark, so... I mean, what if Mr. Stark needs me or something, or... Mr. Stark? I don't feel so good.
It's 3:35 a.m. I just watched Spider-Man Far From Home, and I feel sick? Is that dramatic? Yeah. Is it weird that a comic book movie made me feel kind of sick? Yeah, very. But hear me out for a second before you smash that dislike button and tell me to get some help. Imagine living, breathing, and eating two things. And then imagine seeing something that makes you not like those two things. Makes you not want to care about those two things. Obviously.
You're too deep into this if you're living, breathing, and eating comics. If that's your mindset of the comics, the medium of comics into the movies has to be good. Otherwise, it has a physical effect on me. You gotta pull that back a little bit. This is a movie. This is a character.
I get really yelly about Man of Steel, but at the end of the day, it's not gonna make me hurl. Yeah. I'm not gonna get sick off of it.
Legitimately. Read My Hero on Friday. Saturday comes. It's like, hey, what'd you think about My Hero? I'm like, I don't. What happened in that chapter?
Not even. It's probably like 18 hours ago. Not even a full day sometimes.
It doesn't stick with me, even though it is one of the worst arcs I've ever seen.
So weekly, one of the worst arcs.
Weekly, just getting stabbed and just going.
Did I get stabbed?
Why do I have a hole in my chest?
And I was going through Twitter, and there was just this thread that was just like a thread of the coldest manga panel, and the top two were the two Dekus, and I'm like, this is what they want. This is who they are looking for.
And here you go.
You
enjoy. But yeah, this is. It's you got to pull it back a little bit, homie, because it's not healthy to associate it like that, because this is at the end of the day just a movie.
Yes,
you can choose to not watch it. You can choose to not engage with it. Once it's done, you can choose to just move on, but you can't
never think about it again.
You can't just be like you can't watch something that's not like a gore or something like that where you just go, I feel physically ill.
That visceral reaction of something.
I cannot imagine that.
I fucking love Spider-Man and I fucking love movies. I've made, it has to be 1,000 at this point, Spider-Man videos. Negative Spider-Man videos, positive Spider-Man videos. I've given more than my 2 cents on Spidey. My plan was...
So if you recognize that there are negative things about Spider-Man, I'm wondering what is so bad about this that it makes him have a physical reaction like that, because
Because that's hashtag not my Spider-Man.
it can't just be that.
Was and still is to finish the Raimi series and cover this film and be done talking about the webhead. I've said almost everything I have to say, and to be honest, I'm getting tired of it all. All the hate, all the arguing about a fictional character that's supposed to bring people together. I don't need to give you the whole speech. You know this is an opinion piece. I encourage you to go see the movie and make your own opinion piece.
So he's tired of the hate and against this character that's supposed to bring people together. So does he just expect pure praise and love and just ignore the bad things?
Maybe he was okay with it, and now it's just gotten to a point where it's happened so many times, he's just done with it.
But does he know? Does he see that?
Did he know?
Does he see that he's engaging with that by putting out a negative video that's going to be polarizing to people that may like this movie?
Yes, and I guess this is him going, this is the last time, even though it wasn't.
But don't do the thing if you're sick of the thing.
But he has to talk about it.
No, he doesn't.
Oh, that's an option.
could love something that I hate. I could love something that you hate. You know the drill. Art is subjective.
Sure. And people can talk about it. Mm-hmm. Don't take away people just going, this character's supposed to bring people together, so why y'all hating it? Don't tell people what not to talk about. If you're gonna be like, you can like what you like and I can like what I like.
All I can do is tell you how I feel. And this is how I feel.
I forgot he's a big feelings man. Wasn't he the whoa dude who was just like, how does it make you feel?
I don't remember, but him, Brown Table, and one other, Film Speak, they all just kind of mushed together.
I'm almost certain it was him with Whoa 84 is kind of wonderful.
That is coming back.
And I remember us being very mad at that video.
It was
cool.
Spider-Man Far From Home takes everything that worked about Endgame, every heartbreaking moment, and turns it into a joke within the first 2 minutes of the film.
Those two characters are a joke in and of themselves.
Yes.
Tony Stark died. We have had our time with Tony Stark's death.
Yeah, it's over. The world moves on.
It's not over for Peter, and we get to see him coping with aspects of it. But for the rest of the world, it's over.
Yeah, people. It's also the gallows humor where you just it's a dark thing, but you make jokes about it. What was that? There was that YouTuber that just died, and people were legitimately
cooking him,
pissing on his grave. I'm like, what did this guy do? Because people were legit just like, oof, I'm like, oh, he's gone. But yeah, it's just to be expected. It's not just gonna be this guy who's always just on this pedestal.
Mm-mm. And it's not always just gonna be, hey, we're always just gonna be somber about this thing. I can't remember if I've ever said it on the podcast, but I believe that everything one day will be fodder for comedy. The only thing that hurts it is time. There was a time where there would not even be a quasi joke about 9/11.
Time and intensity is a big thing.
And now people can rattle off jokes off in day, and it's just like,
I saw one that killed me. It was a bunch of Taylor Swift fans on a plane, and they were all just singing and waving their hands. And the quote retweet was, "I'm gonna give America another day to remember." And I died. And I was like, I can't favorite this. I can't retweet this. I'm just gonna silently laugh at this very hard and move on.
And Tony Stark is like, again, these characters are not serious characters. It's not like the movie itself is framing this as a joke. It's these characters who always frame things in a comedic fashion unintentionally doing a comedic tribute, which they think is loving. Because they got the I will always love you with all these dead characters.
Dumb stock effects. But these are 15-year-olds. So it's the movie going, yes, this is a joke, but it's sincere to them. And don't act like you haven't been to a funeral where you're just cracking jokes. It happened.
We did it at our parents' funerals.
It's a celebration of life as much as a mourning of death. And this is, I see absolutely, this is not a real character. Calm down, dude. This is a joke in a movie. This is a actor being paid $800 million. I'm not. Oh no!
Why are
Tony
you
Stark
treating him with the reverence he deserves?
No.
The first 2 minutes of the film, I looked over to my friend while I Will Always Love You was playing over goofy headshots of the dead Avengers, the dead heroes, while they were making a meme of the dead heroes, and his jaw had dropped to the floor.
These are
right off the bat.
characters that they own, that they can do whatever they want with. They are not using them to twerk. This is a school putting up an in memoriam that they think is good.
That they think is sincere.
That's just funny. I don't see what's wrong with that. It's not this big affront that you think that it is. Calm it down.
How am I supposed to be invested in this Peter Parker's grief if the film is so focused on making fun of that grief?
How is it focused on it when the first 2 minutes it happens and it basically never happens again?
It's just that, essentially.
We're looking at the grief of these two characters who are comedic characters versus the grief of Peter Parker. When it gets to the grief of Peter Parker, it is treated with the reverence that you want the rest of the film to have. The first 2 minutes, because the rest of the film does.
If you're an hour and 35 minutes into the film where they're doing the Tony Stark montage and you're thinking back to the first 2 minutes, that's a you thing, homie. I can't do nothing for you. You two hung up on that.
I guess I should have expected this. The same duo who wrote Ant-Man the Wasp, another fun, lighthearted adventure, wrote Far From Home, and maybe that's my problem with it. Far From Home is so focused on being fun, on being light, that it never explores its ideas or themes with any kind of weight. Once again, the lasting...
But it does, though.
I'm waiting for what weight and themes he's expecting here.
It's the theme of grief and getting over it, and... Because there's a lot of things that you could say. It could be the grief. It could be the passing of the torch. It could be the accepting of responsibility. It's a lot of things that you could say. What theme are you narrowing in on, and that it did not follow through with?
Consequences for this version of Peter Parker are almost non-existent. Remember all the dramatic potential of May knowing Peter is Spider-Man?
All the dramatic potential? Of what? Them sitting down and having a conversation and having a fight of I'm still gonna do this, May? Mm-hmm. There's so many ways to take it.
Watson Company could really dive deep into what it's like to be the mother of Spider-Man. Does she worry about him putting his life in danger every night? Does she worry the same thing that happened to the love of her life will happen to Peter? No. She's 100% supportive of her superhero son.
Yes!
Yeah, I'm sorry that my mother figure is supportive of my actions. She has 100% belief in Peter. I don't think she ever thought, hey, there's a possibility that she'll come back.
Especially considering the fact that what is he going up against?
That she knows of. The Vulture, which is a guy with some tech. And probably a bunch of street level like bank robbers that he's easily handled a dozen times.
Wait, you know what she's like? If she finds out people try and kill me every single night, she's not gonna let me do this anymore.
Remember when half the universe got wiped out?
So she didn't she didn't find that out.
and company could really dive deep into the post-Endgame world and how Peter fits into that world. Did any of the people close to Peter survive the snap? Did any of the people close to Peter have to deal with...
This is a problem with MCU flat out with the snap.
Yeah, oh, absolutely.
This is not a this movie thing.
The grief of the snap, the grief of losing Peter? Nope. Every key player from Homecoming conveniently got snapped and didn't suffer at all. Oh hey, remember when Tony Stark, who is just Uncle Ben in these movies? About that. Peter Parker is a good kid with a good heart. He was raised by the two best people in the world. One of those people was named Ben. Ben taught Peter how to be a good kid with a good heart. Ben died because of Peter's lack of responsibility. Spider-Man was born. Do we need to see Ben die again? Hell no. Is it unrealistic for Peter to never directly mention the man who taught him to be a hero? The man who raised him? The man who was his father? Hell yes. The problem...
Hashtag not my Spider-Man.
When should he be mentioning
At what
Parker?
point? At what point? When is a good opportunity to essentially spout exposition about a character who is long since passed?
Or even when he has doubts, just going, I don't know if I could do it, Uncle Ben.
How do you do that when that's not... How do you do that without it feeling clunky? Because we, like you said, we didn't see the death of this guy. We don't know who he is to Peter. We don't know how much involvement that he had with his upbringing, not his upbringing, but his sense of justice or responsibility or anything like that.
Especially because May delivered.
Yeah, I was about to say we can't. Well, I'm not going to talk about the fact that she delivered the line, so that means that Ben did not deliver the line because that information was not known at this point. But we don't know this information. And if your only issue is Spider-Man should have the Uncle Ben that you could point to and just go, well, he learned it all from him, and he's not always going, but Uncle Ben though.
I think even Amazing Spider-Man 2, I think you get a shot of the wall of where he didn't catch the dude, and then that's just about it. He's not like he brings up Ben in that film. But I don't remember too much about Amazing Spider-Man 2. Even though I've seen it, I mean, no less than 4 times.
It's a chunky one.
Isn't Tony Stark being a mentor? The problem isn't Tony Stark. The problem is the implication that Tony means more to Peter Parker than Ben ever did.
Pause. That's your implication. That is how you are interpreting what's going on here.
Especially since the most of what we see from Peter is in regards to superhero stuff. And in regards to superhero stuff, I would assume the guy that he looked up to as a superhero,
who is giving him a chance,
who
sees enough in him to just go, you are going to fight Captain America.
To see enough of him to go, you are the next Tony Stark at some point. I would assume he would bring him up quite a bit.
Uncle Ben's suitcase is in this film and serves as the only reminder that Ben existed, and it ends up getting destroyed at some point off screen. And Peter doesn't give a single shit. Peter Parker doesn't give a single shit about losing something of his uncle's.
Hey, why would he care? Why would he take it if he cared?
Yeah.
Like, why would he take one of the vestiges of his uncle?
It's not the only thing that he has left. Or maybe it is, but it is just a suitcase.
Like, I think our parents left one of the suitcases we use, and it fell apart or it's falling apart, and it's gonna go in the trash one day. Shrug shoulders. We got enough from our parents.
You don't know how much he values that suitcase. You don't know if it's just that, hey, we don't have money to get another suitcase. You don't know if, hey, my other suitcase broke, so I'm just gonna use this one. You don't know the relationship with that suitcase. It is not simply this person has passed, so this is a treasured item. It could just be as simple as this dude used this suitcase a couple of times and that was a present from Aunt May to him, and it was embroidered. He used it once. Hey, you can use it now. It's not. We don't have the information. And if your issue is we don't have the information, we could talk about that. But
just the whole, hey, you should be feeling worse that one of your uncle's items is gone. Not necessarily.
which makes me assume that Ben was someone in this universe who didn't really matter all that much to Peter.
No, and see, you're thinking way too much about this based upon purely a suitcase and him not talking about the suitcase when he literally almost caused the death of a bunch of people in Italy. Italy? What is it? France.
One of them.
It was France. I remember the Eiffel Tower. But he has a lot more to care about than a suitcase. And after that point, the movie is wrapping up. So what do we get? We got them coming back to America, the swing, J. Jonah Jameson. When do we get the opportunity to go muff in suitcase?
Cool. That makes perfect sense. Anyways, where was I? Oh, hey, remember when Tony Stark, who is just Uncle Ben in these movies, died right in front of...
And you see, I've established that the mentor is Tony Stark. So I can just slide that in to poison the well for you to just go, hey, don't you remember Tony Stark, who was Uncle Ben? Just like, you can't just say that and just have that be a fact and have that be a negative thing against this movie.
Peter died in the arms of Pepper, Rhodey, and Peter. How does that affect Peter? He's grieving, but he wants to fall in love and go on vacation?
Yes, he is moving past this moment. And he's trying to move past it, and he can't even do that because everywhere he turns, as he said, he sees them.
How long is he supposed to be grieving?
How long? How long is he supposed to sit there? How long did Sam Raimi's Spider-Man sit there after Uncle Ben's death just going, I can't be looking at you, MJ, because my uncle died because of me?
So he's not sad that the uncle's suitcase is destroyed. He's going this. Why isn't he sad that the uncle's suitcase is destroyed? But now he's just going, this thing that happened a couple of months ago. Why is he get over it? Like, wait a second, homie. You can't just be like,
those things don't mix. They don't. I'm sorry, but it's not real to me. It doesn't work for me. I can't feel for Peter's loss if the movie doesn't really feel for Peter's loss.
It does. He does. But there's also other things. It's not stopping his life. His life is not frozen because of the death of Tony Stark. Not everything is centered around the death of Tony Stark. He is still a 16-year-old kid that wants to go on vacation, that wants to hang out with his friends, that wants to just do stupid kid shit, while also looking and going, my God, Tony Stark is gone, and that thing sucks.
People are looking at me going, are you the next Avenger? Are you the next Tony Stark? And he wants to get away from all of that. I see nothing wrong with that. But it's hashtag, not my Spider-Man.
Any and all dramatic potential is thrown out the window for the sake of another fun Spider-Man adventure featuring a quirky cast of underdeveloped kids and a villain whose motivation is based entirely around Tony Stark. But this time, it's in Europe. Yay! Honestly, guys, the entire time I was watching, I felt
he truly just wants a drama Spider-Man. That's probably why he loved the Raimi Spider-Man so much, because it is a lot of drama and melodrama as opposed to some of the more jokey and goofiness that can be showcased in a Spider-Man comic book, Spider-Man movie, Spider-Man cartoon.
But if you look at his Jason Todd fan film, it is just the look at this.
It's straight drama.
This is what he wants.
Yes.
Where it's just flashing. This is the type of stuff that you want. And when you write and when you draw like porn and stuff, you do what you know and what you like. So this is what he wants.
Yes, he wants that harsh, dynamic, quote unquote lighting.
Oh, hey, look at that.
What?
3 weeks ago, if I wrote Spider-Man.
Man. Oh no.
I saw Uncle Ben like twice.
Oh no.
Yeah, I don't know. This would be very good to look at
cozies.
I hate looking at this channel.
He also had a Spider-Man 3 almost the perfect final film or something. And it's like, Spider-Man 3, it gets way too much hate. But don't act like it's some secret 8 out of 10 film.
There is no hold on, let them cook here.
No, it's a fine film with a lot of messy parts.
Like this film was fighting with itself about what it wanted to be. Does it want to be a teen summer vacation flick with Spider-Man? Does it want to be a story about Peter dealing with the death of a mentor?
Hey, can it not be all those things? Yeah. Can it not be several things? Can it not be a bunch of things? Can a comic book not be jokey, dramatic, horrific, all in the same arc? Can a comic arc not do that? Can a book not do that? Can a story not do that?
Because we get the romp, and then while we're doing the romp, we have Nick Fury going, Tony Stark chose you. Is he wrong? And then he has to choose between the romp and the responsibility there based upon the Tony Stark stuff. So we got both of those things. What else are we adding on there?
Does it want to be a classic Spider-Man story about Peter wanting to just be Peter Parker?
Pause. Yes, we got that with the romp, because once he's there, he's like, I'm not packing my suit because I'm not Spider-Man here.
Yes, I'm just gonna be Peter Parker.
But when a big lava monster comes, he puts on a Mardi Gras mask and he gets to work because he sees that people need help.
When the big moment comes of let's follow the plan, he goes, I can't be at the opera with you, MJ, because I got a responsibility to the people.
To do.
And it f***ing sucks. And he sits down with Quentin Beck and just goes, what I want is just to hang out with my friends and kill the girl I like, that I like her. That's what Peter Parker wants right now.
And you also get the stuff where he's just like, hey, delete the photo. Yep, eliminate him. Here it comes, drones.
Oh, yeah, no, he is a target. So, and he's smiling until it's like, yep, killer drones. Whoops.
So you get that stuff, too, where he's using his things to his advantage. This is what Peter wants, and he's going to get it. And
responsibility of being Spider-Man. It wants to be so many things that it never has time to develop any of those stories and ideas.
It does. It did purely with Nick. I almost said Nick Cannon. It did purely with Nick Fury going, Stark chose you. Was he wrong? That is all of that. The romp, because he's missing out with it. The Tony Stark. Him choosing Spider-Man over fun stuff. That's all of that in like 3 lines.
Forget the fact that this is a bad Spider-Man movie. God, I can't believe I started that meme. I went in fully expecting it to be a different take on the character that I'm...
Why is it a bad Spider-Man movie?
Because him have mentor and not do it by himself.
But that's not enough.
Are you sure? Are you sure?
Why? If you keep thinking that things just have to be on this one path and they can never deviate from them unless they not be that type of movie, once it does, what if this was a 10 out of 10? Would you still be like 10 out of 10 but not a Spider-Man movie? That seems stupid to say something like that.
I would do that, so I can't. I have no words here. Because if Man of Steel was a 10 out of 10, I still
There's no way it could have been.
I think it could have been a great Aquaman movie.
A Spider-Man film or a Superman film or a Superman character. Because it's not a Man of Steel if with that character in it. What do you mean? Because that character is the Man of Steel. Are you saying a hypothetical Superman
a hypothetical Man of Steel that is a 10 out of 10 movie? Outside of it being Superman, it is a 10 out of 10 movie. Shot well, plot's fantastic, all this stuff. But it's clearly just not Superman. It is not a Superman film. It is not a Clark Kent film.
What does that mean?
That would mean we get some aspect of the character we get from Snyder of Superman, where we don't get the joy, we don't get that. It's a much more dreary, bleak take on the first days of Superman.
But that seems more like it's not the Superman character, not more so it's not a Superman film.
But even if it's, I mean, that would tie into it, I suppose, because the character would do the things that Superman would do in a Superman film. Snyder's Superman is a bad movie, first off. A bad Superman movie.
Let's put that on the table real quick.
Because it is antithetical to the character of Superman. And he doesn't do the thing. Like, if this character was just this character and was saving cats out of trees and doing all the things that quote-unquote Superman movies you expect out of a Superman movie, it would still be a bad Superman character. It would still be a bad movie, but it may not necessarily be a bad Superman movie. Because he's just saving a cat out of a tree with a frown on his face.
It's just hard for me to envision. I don't know what that means.
Yes, I understand.
The movie never drags and never moves to consequence when he loses the suit by trying to do the right thing, which leads me to the second big reason why Homecoming is a bad Spider-Man movie: the suit. Hey, remember that billionaire superhero that reluctant?
Interesting. Interesting. HiTop Films. Interesting.
Obviously not a fan of thus far. I figured this would be a sequel to Homecoming and a sequel to this particular vision of Spidey. But what I didn't expect, what caught me completely off guard, was how completely inconsistent with that vision Far From Home was. Peter Parker in this film trusts Mysterio with Tony's final gift to him after having 2 conversations with Beck. He not only gives...
And fighting alongside him twice.
And seeing that Beck is willing to sacrifice himself. Kind of like what happened a couple months ago with a dude. And Beck was, I wouldn't want to say needling him, but he was just saying what he wanted to hear.
Gaslighting him.
Get completely, because he's just like, don't apologize for being the smartest person in the room. Nick Fury's talking all this, and he's just like, well, calm down, Fury. He just wants to go see his girl. He is, and he confides with
Beck,
him.
Mysterio. My name's Mysterio.
And he confides with him when he just goes, finally somebody who can talk with superhero stuff about. So this isn't just some dude. This is somebody who he feels that he can trust. And Nick Fury, he knows the type of people that Nick Fury deals with. And if Nick Fury's pointing to him and just going, we trust you enough to put you into this situation, I don't see a reason why he would. You could say that it was a little fast, but I can see all the things that led up to him just going. And also, when you
would do better than I ever would.
When you add the fact that he does not want that responsibility. So these glasses are essentially, you are the next Tony Stark. I don't want that, so I'm going to pass it off to somebody who's a lot more capable than me.
Mysterio something that should mean the world to him. He gives Mysterio the glass.
This is the same thing with the suitcase. Why should this mean the world to him? This is a gift from Tony Stark, absolutely. It's a lot of power, absolutely. But he doesn't feel like he's ready for that because the very first thing that he did was almost kill somebody.
Are the glasses gone from his possession forever? Or can he just wait until he is ready and then get the glasses? But in the meantime,
this could help people.
The world needs a Tony Stark, and that is not me.
That have the power to literally control the world after knowing him for less than 2 days and 20 minutes of screen time.
It doesn't have the power to literally control the world because he got a couple drones.
Mm-hmm. He was able to pump up his tech.
But what did we see that can do? It seems like it's just information and drone strikes.
Peter Parker in this film all of a sudden has a crush on MJ after paying.
There was like 3 sentences about the Mysterio and the glasses thing. That is simply not enough. This does not sound like it broke his heart.
No.
This just sounds like he has a lot of problems with the movie. Obviously a bit of a clickbaity title.
Yes.
But this is just a lot. This is just like, yeah, these are just normal issues I don't necessarily like that he gave his glasses curtain down. It's like, wait a second, develop that more.
Why did Peter initially start liking Mary Jane Watson? In the Face It Tiger, you just hit the jackpot. Because she was a hot lady that went out with him once? What did it take? Did you have a problem with it? So on.
In the beginning of this movie, he goes, Mary Jane, she's funny. He gives a bunch of character traits that he likes about her.
Did you want a slow realization of his like for her?
Kind of like Harry Potter 6, huh?
No. That was a hard switch. That was
no.
Oh my God, the beast in my chest is roaring.
The beast did not come until halfway through the book.
I smell the flowery scent.
Yeah, and he didn't know what that was. And then once he realized, he was like, oh, boing.
The only thing you could say is a potential slow realization is when he got annoyed when she said, I'm leaving because I got to go see Dean or whatever.
There was a bunch of stuff there.
And it sucked. Because this wasn't a slow realization, because it happens in this book. It's not like the flowery scent happened in the 5th book. It's not like the beast started in the 4th book.
Maybe it did. We don't remember those books.
It is literally here and now. This is a thing. Roar. What are you looking at?
I really like MJ, man. She's awesome. She's super funny in a kind of dark way. Sometimes I catch her looking at me. I feel like I've stood up. She's coming. Yeah, whatever. But he explains why he likes her. They spend time together in detention. You grow close to people.
They were friends at the end of the last movie.
Paying no attention to her in Homecoming. I guess he came back from the dead, witnessed the death of his idol, and now he wants to get romantic with a girl he barely knows and go on a vacation.
Barely knows 2 months after this happened, and they've been hanging out.
Yeah. How long does it take you to start liking somebody, HiTop? Is it like a 6-month process where you just go, now wait a second.
It's time to court you, milady. The friendship line has been crossed, and it is courtship time.
Takes off his shoes in respect. Those shoes suck. Get them out of here.
This is Mary Jane we are talking about, or Michelle Jones. Either way, she is the love of Peter Parker's life.
Not based on the multitude of comic books, including one of the recent one where I can't remember if it was Peter or MJ that was just like, yeah, we loved each other, but it's more like a brother-sister type thing.
Auga.
My God. They just cannot let them be a couple. To the point where they had to create, I think it's the new Ultimate Spider-Man, one of the Spider-Man, where it's just like, they are a couple with a kid. That's the story. That's it. That's all this series is gonna be. Shut up.
And I will never forgive this film for not caring enough to develop it. Sure.
How did it develop in the comic book? In the first movie of the Raimi films, it's just like, Peter, you've loved her since you were a kid.
Thank you for telling me my feelings.
It's cute.
I wish I remembered Amazing Spider-Man to say how Gwen Stacy happened, but I literally don't. I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's a poof.
I literally don't.
Nothing.
I'm sorry. He was getting bullied or she was getting bullied, and the camera and the skateboard thing, and she was dating Flash and dumped Flash, and I think she went to go apologize to Peter, and then I guess it kind of happened. There's a whole middle I'm missing there, I'm sure, between that and him being invited to the dinner.
It's awkward. Zendaya and Tom Holland have some very nice chemistry.
Yes, it is awkward because these are two very awkward characters. Spider-Man, through these entire films, has been amazingly awkward.
Combined with the fact that he is Spider-Man. He knows he's Spider-Man, and he knows there are certain things that he has to give up.
But that's all there is to it. It seems like a high school crush that came out of nowhere. And
Like high school crushes come out of nowhere all the time. Why did he like Liz?
Yeah. I want to know what is his like concept of liking somebody? How does that happen? What is it? You realize, hey, these are traits that I find attractive. I would like to spend more time with this person.
In a romantic environment, non-platonically.
Homecoming, MJ obviously teased Peter because she liked him. They could have turned that teasing and frenemy relationship into a real friendship. They could have taken their time over the course of a couple films and got me to want them to end up together.
A couple of films?
Can you not get invested in a couple or a potential couple in a single film? I'd submit you can.
Absolutely.
Because that is the almost entirety of the rom-com thing, genre of film. Which I don't know if he would enjoy them. I have no idea what he enjoys. Film-wise, what does HiTop like?
Yeah, that's what I'm looking through.
Because I understand it's a lot of capes. But, like, does he care about a straight-up dramatic, low-key film? Like, there's this movie I watched a few years ago. I think it's called Unseen or Unheard or something like that. Where it's about this woman who believes she has a stalker, but nobody else believes her. And she ends up in a mental hospital based off of it, just for like a 24-hour evaluation. And her stalker works there. And the film is the stalker real or is she crazy? Would he, and it's all shot with an iPhone, would he enjoy that film?
There's so many superhero stuff.
It's so much cape shit.
It's so much.
Would he like Upgrade? One of my favorite movies of all time. I don't know. What's your shit?
Yeah, I don't know what he likes.
Outside the cape shit.
This is because none of these things are necessarily romance heavy. It's a lot of just Marvel stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And they're not.
I know he talked about the romance of Whoa.
Yeah.
But I don't remember exactly what he said there.
But Far From Home doesn't have the time for that. Instead,
But his argument is, this is Mary Jane, the love of his life. We should feel that more. And it's more of, this is not a Spider-Man thing that I am used to. That's so much of his arguments.
Film, and Peter has this big plan to win MJ over. They introduced this character named, I don't know what his name was, and have this very unnecessary love triangle that has the emotional depth of an episode of Hannah Montana.
It's a twerp who's just like, I like MJ too, and it's time.
And just putting Hannah Montana music over something isn't a point. So it is also, it's more of the push and pull that you wanted from the Spider-Man stuff of, Peter, you are running out of time. If you want this, you need to take it. Otherwise, somebody else will.
Peter wouldn't first meet MJ until the final moments of Amazing Spider-Man number 42 with the cry of her famous line, face it, Tiger, you just hit the jackpot. And it was love at first sight. Peter immediately began dating her.
These are the words written by somebody else. This is synopsis. I can't take that as fact.
And guess what was happening? He was still grieving over Gwen Stacy. Like he's grieving over Tony Stark.
I don't know.
This is just how that MJ love started.
No, that's not my Spider-Man. The original Spider-Man's not mine. No, we got to go further back.
This is painfully.
HiTop isn't. He just isn't.
Or he is.
And he's a lot of it.
Peter Parker in this film is told to step up and be the next Iron Man. And then he's told that he just needs to be the next Spider-Man. He just needs to be himself, which is pretty much what he learned in.
And who are those people that are telling him that? Mm-hmm. It's not one person saying that, talking out of both sides of their mouth.
And it's not so much of, I know, he knows he's Spider-Man. But the world is not looking for Spider-Man. They're looking for Tony Stark. Or he's looking for Tony Stark.
He doesn't really know who he is or who he wants to be.
But everybody just like, Nick Fury says, Tony Stark = you.
He goes, Nick Fury's gonna call you. He goes, Nick Fury doesn't call me. I'm a neighborhood guy. That's his mindset here. He's not the next Tony Stark, and he doesn't want to be.
Homecoming, but then they blast AC/DC as Peter is making his new high-tech suit looking just like Tony Stark did. If his arc is supposed to be your own man, then stick with that. Don't tell us one thing and show.
But then you can also take influences from other people.
Yes. It doesn't mean that he shut out Tony Stark of his life.
When he's just going, great power comes great responsibility. Oh, be your own man. Don't just start quoting dead people. No, he's using what he learned and literally making something new.
Show us another. I can't be invested in something that the writers don't seem sure of. The truth is, I can't be invested in any of this. I had hopes for Mysterio. I love myself some Jake. But Mysterio's motivation, like Vulture's, has nothing to do with Peter. There are no personal stakes. They try to make me care about his relationship.
Oh, you say there's no personal stakes, and then they try to make you care about something. There is personal stakes. You just don't care about it. So don't say that it's not here. Peter confides with him multiple times. He trusts him enough. If you agree or not, he trusts him enough to give him the glasses.
To Peter, but spend no time developing it. Holland and Gyllenhaal have some really
the time.
You said like 20 minutes.
Nice chemistry.
And you say that Spider-Man 2 is the perfect Spider-Man movie. What time do they spend developing Ock and Spider-Man? Like 2 scenes. And I want to play like whataboutism. Hey, you like this, why not this? But you praise this over here, and the exact same thing is done over here.
Which you're going, it's not enough.
It's not Spider-Man. I don't like this for some reason.
That can only get you so far. Quentin Beck's motivation is all about Tony, and that's just, dare I say it, lazy? Gyllenhaal does the best and has a lot of fun with what he's given, but he's given so little.
It's not about Tony, it's about the recognition of his work.
Yeah.
He wants people to praise him. He doesn't, at the end of the day, once he has Tony's tech, he's not like, all right, time to tarnish Tony's name. It's, I'm going to be shaking hands with the Queen in a few hours, mother. Get it together.
It's not like it's a surprise that he's the bad guy. Everybody who has picked up a Spider-Man comic or seen a Spider-Man flick knows that he's going to go bad at some point.
Who cares? Yeah. Let's go along for the ride.
Yeah, especially considering if you saw the trailers and everything, you're not just going to believe it's just some dust monster. And there's always the possibility that you could just get okie doke just going, no, he actually is just a nice guy.
That's what happens in spoilers. In the Spider-Man 2 side mission where everyone's just like, oh, Beck sliding.
And it's just, no, it was her over there. The woman.
So if I'm not connected to him, if I can't see his point and I can't feel
you just said that you're not connected.
You can't see his point that he wants recognition. Isn't that essentially what Doc Ock wanted?
You see his point, but you just don't understand it, or you don't connect to it. But don't say that it's not there. It is there.
Connection to Peter, then why am I supposed to care? Because he got fucked over by Tony Stark? That would maybe work if either of the films critiqued Tony Stark's actions, but they don't. With Vulture, you could at least empathize a tad, but with Mysterio, He's nothing more to me than a by-the-book villain.
Oh, either though the first or the second movie critique him.
There is one standout visual sequence where Peter gets knocked around in a Mysterio acid trip, but it's seemingly all done in a computer. No practical effects.
It's so good! It was awesome!
What? Oh no, they're supposed to put 500 month in Mysterio outfits and march them down to...
Alright, let's get the funhouse mirrors in. We gotta get this shot, y'all.
Alright, Tom Holland, I'm gonna throw you through this plate of glass off this building. 3, 2, 1, yeah!
Nothing tangible for me to grab onto. This is...
They were literal illusions! That's the thing! It's the point!
It's not even real!
It's not real!
And he's mad that the things that are not real are not real!
Hey, make these real illusions, you idiot! This movie's
Knock
lame.
that crane down, you cuck!
Like, what? You know, he's not really swinging through the city, right? I mean...
But I would assume he means, like, in Spider-Man 1, where Green Goblin and Spidey are throwing down and it's just a brick wall.
Absolutely.
Which is awesome.
But it is just illusions.
Yes.
I don't know how you would get the floor to just fall out from under him and the room just go completely black like that.
I mean, you can, but like, what's the why? So HiTop Film can go. There were some practical effects here.
there were practical effects here. Yeah,
that's a positive. Okay. All right, that cost us $13 million more than we needed to spend.
We shot.
But God, HiTop Films praised us for 4 seconds.
This 2 minutes took us 60 days. So worth it.
Yeah, the car crash is a sound effect. What do you think is real? All right, that's $67,000. Get it out of here. Literally one of my favorite low-key Jim jokes.
It's more of a personal issue I have with a lot of MCU films, especially in recent years. They make these things so quickly that a lot of the time practical stunt work and choreographed fight scenes are instead replaced with action pieces all done in post.
I do not care. I did not feel better about the ending of The Batman because it was a lot of practical, just getting punched and kicked and gunshots and did not feel like it was any better or worse than the end of Endgame or something. Do not care.
And yeah, these visual effects are really creative and the sequences are cool, but call me an old man. I just prefer the real deal. Out
of illusions.
Yeah. If that's your entire point of CGI bad, okay, you got it. That. You rock it. You can't say anything against that. That's 100% pure preference. You can't be like, no, you're wrong. Yeah. No, you're not seeing it correctly. No, I don't like this thing. So this movie is lesser for it. You just go, all right, man.
For obvious reasons.
Obvious.
Side of that one sequence, though, this movie has no overt visual style or flair, which shocked the hell out of me because the same person who shot Far From Home...
What does that mean?
Man of Steel has a vision. Zack Snyder has a vision.
He's a visual flair.
Yes. You think Zack Snyder doesn't have visual flair? When he knocks over Batman's car and Supes is walking all slow and the kid's just billowing while the explosion happened?
So what's the visual flair there? It's just
the slow-mo.
Good visual.
The slow-mo,
I don't know what that necessarily means to HiTop.
That's a good point. I don't know. Is he going to define it?
No.
Shot some very beautiful and artful episodes of Daredevil. Far From Home.
What was artful about that? It was a scene at night with some skyscrapers in the back. What was the art? What are you talking about? Dude, legitimately.
Yeah. Shot some very beautiful and artful episodes of Daredevil.
Legitimately. I don't know what I should be looking at for the artful or the beautifulness of it. It's a good looking shot, but beyond
it's no better or worse than any other shot that I can think of.
At night with like a backdrop.
Far From Home brings back a final swing of sorts, but it's nothing that we haven't seen done with more gravitas and more elegance.
See, that visual flair thing is just dropped.
Yeah, he's done.
In previous Spider-Man films. In the Raimi films, in Spider-Verse, even in the first Amazing Spider-Man film, the final swing was a triumphant, heroic, and sometimes haunting note to end the films on.
That looks horrible for a Spider-Man film. And you know what? I'm sure he loved it because of how the contrasting lights in the dark and the moon and all this bush. HiTop Film, you're a fake bum.
Triumphant, heroic, and sometimes haunting note to end the films on.
Look at
There was a celebration of Peter's
That's what I think of when I think Spider-Man. The moon.
Yeah. He's the true Moon Knight.
growth and of Miles' growth. This Peter doesn't grow.
But he's swinging with a purpose to go see MJ. The rest of them, it was literally just swinging to look cool. But he got what he wanted. He succeeded. This is the only one with another person that's the final swing. Is it? I feel like
yes.
Okay, because I'm like, Miles, did Miles have it?
No, who do you have it with,
I
Gwen?
feel like no, that was the second movie where they were swinging around. That is sort of implanted in my mind. But yeah, go back to what he says completely about the final swing thing.
Which means I got to see the moon again.
Yeah, you love the moon.
But it's nothing that we haven't seen done
It's
with
nothing
more
that we haven't seen done before.
With more gravitas?
In what way? What do you mean there's nothing that we haven't seen before? Doesn't he use the wingsuit?
But more gravitas.
What does any of this mean?
Look how gravitas this is.
Some more elegance in previous Spider-Man.
It's so elegant. Look at the elegance and the gravitas of just swinging. What is?
It's just
in the
nothing.
Raimi films, in Spider-Verse, even in the first Amazing Spider-Man film, the final swing was a triumphant, heroic, and sometimes haunting note to end the films on. It was
it's literally triumphant because he got what he wanted.
I don't think anybody triumphed more than this Peter.
This motherfucker.
Of Peter's growth and of Miles' growth. This Peter doesn't grow. He doesn't.
What was the first Spider-Man's growth? The Amazing Spider-Man, because you didn't show that one. This Peter also did grow because now he's learned that, hey, I just gotta hit this responsibility of this Tony Stark bush.
Really change. So his
who cares if a character changed? How did the Sam Raimi Spider-Man change or grow? I can't be with you, MJ. Next film, MJ, I want to be with you. How did he change or grow? How did Miles change or grow at the end of the film when he's already gone through his, I'm done with that bush, I need to be Spider-Man? Now, if you're talking about post-growth, sure, you could say that for Miles. I don't see how you can say that for the first Peter.
Final swing feels so soulless to me. I hate being mean, I really do, but I wish John Watts would aim higher. By the end of the film, like Homecoming, I was so sick of medium shot, reverse shot. I was so sick of cutaway jokes. I was sick of Spider-Man's beautiful suit being painted over in post with CG. Look at this thing. Why would you want to touch that? It's perfect. I was sick of Tom Holland pouring his heart and soul into...
And you didn't show when it was painted over and how bad it looks when it is painted over.
He showed a giant shot of him flying towards the camera.
In slow motion. But that's not a comparison. I don't see how that's bad.
He should have done it a side by side.
And if you don't have that side by side to compare it, don't bring it up.
To a film and into a role where the writing made it impossible for me to connect to Spider-Man. To Peter.
It is impossible to connect to Spider-Man.
Spider-Man is inaccessible. He's unrelatable.
He is overwhelmed by a bunch of people asking him questions that he simply does not have the answer for. And which
plays a role in the entirety of the film since they're asking the questions that will later come into fruition. And that he struggles with throughout the basically entirety of the film.
When he pulled out the broken necklace, I went, "Oh man!"
That's all he wanted. and
he can't even have that.
Sick of it all. Teenagers don't behave this way.
How do you?
That happens sometimes. I think my HDMI cord is going out.
How do you know? Number one. Number two, do you have a grasp on every single teenager and how they act in every single situations? HiTop Films,
especially when they're a superhero.
I would not. I can say that kindergartners don't act like CEOs. I can say that teenagers do go after each other.
They do be banging.
They do.
They don't have the emotional maturity and empathy of 12-year-olds. I'm freaking 20.
Who?
What do you mean? Teenagers bully people. They fart and piss on people.
What do you mean? Who has the emotional maturity of a 12-year-old?
He thinks they do.
No, I'm saying who? In what way do they?
Not too long ago, I was the age of these kids, and none of this feels real to me.
You weren't like this, so nobody's like this. Your friends weren't like this, so nobody's like this.
Hey, maybe you were the cool kid. Maybe you were the super nerd, and they're not the super. Maybe they're just one step ahead of you in nerddom. Maybe there's a lot of different people in the world that act a lot of different ways.
It feels like a 30-year-old's understanding of what it's like to be 16, 17.
In what way? He wants to go after a girl that he likes.
Did you think Spider-Man and the Raimi Spider-Man and the Amazing Spider-Man, do you think they acted the way teenagers would?
He must, because it's the perfect Spider-Man movie.
Dude, we're gonna have to hit that someday.
I don't want to.
After this.
I'm sick of HiTop.
But when's the last time we did a HiTop?
I don't care.
We get sick of him every time.
Yeah.
And it's literally like once every 8 months.
Yeah. Where he deserves to be.
It's an idealized version of being a teenager. Ned starts dating, I guess this girl is Betty Brant. We really know nothing about her going.
I guess, name right on screen.
In and know nothing about her going out.
She's more no nonsense than the other kid.
And the entire thing is this obnoxious running gag. I think it speaks volumes about where they want to take the character of Spider-Man in this universe when instead of fleshing out characters like Ned, Betty, Flash, key players in the Spider-Man canon, they are used for the sole purpose of getting a chuckle out of the audience. How can Peter Parker afford to...
You said that we don't have time to develop Mysterio.
They all get trapped in the safe and then scream in insecurity about themselves.
At the end where Flash goes, oh, mom couldn't make it.
It's so sad. It's so low key. It's just like, sorry, your mom couldn't make it. It's
cut. Never brought up again.
It's so sad, dude. It's sad. Kid almost died. It's just like, moms couldn't be here, yo.
Go on this trip. I don't know. Maybe it's paid for by the school. Perfect opportunity to have Peter have some relatable money problems. But nope, it's too fun for that. I'm sick of a Peter Parker without problems.
What money problems could he possibly run into? They don't really discuss like eating food or anything. I guess like getting the necklace, but it would be a 1 or 2 sentence thing of I
saved up all summer for this.
Yeah, I don't think that Muff got a little bit of money. I got no problem with that.
I find it very funny that people are really mad that Spider-Man can never outgrow his constantly being a broke boy, constantly problems and relationships.
He can have
and
other
stuff.
Problems in other situations.
But here we have a series of films where he does not showcase those problems as much, and it's a problem. Do people just want the same stories told over and over and over again?
With slight tweaks.
With slight tweaks and a slightly different coat of paint.
Problems, but nope, it's too fun for that. I'm sick of a Peter Parker without problems, without relatable problems, and without...
Oh, relatable problems like what?
Yeah, he does have relatable problems. He's not very confident in himself. He spends the whole time in the first movie when he's locked up talking about how he's insecure and how he doesn't know really what he's doing.
Running away from responsibility until it becomes too much and you have to face it.
He has a lot to live up to. He's very impulsive. He has a need to prove himself, like with the boat in the first movie.
Are these not problems people face? Doubts about themselves that they have. He, in this film, goes, I'm not Tony Stark.
I'm not. He knows that he cannot live up to Tony Stark. He like I said before, a lot of people ask him questions and he just cannot take it, so he bounces. So he has anxiety. What relatable? He doesn't
that
have
money problems, that relationship problems.
But he spends the whole movie trying to get into the relationship and it's not really working out.
But it's always gonna happen.
One sentence, move on, not explain it, move on.
Think of a Peter Parker without problems, without relatable problems, and without lasting consequences for those unrelatable issues he faces.
What consequences did the Raimi Spider-Man face? I just wonder what those were.
His relationship from the first movie was broken based upon a decision that he made.
What was that?
The Vulture.
Oh yeah, that sure is.
That was a consequence, isn't it?
Yeah, the girl he liked had to move away because of what he did.
Yes. That is in fact a consequence.
This isn't a version of Peter that I can empathize with, feel for, care about.
You can empathize.
Yeah.
You personally do not.
You can empathize with a billionaire.
You can empathize with a sandwich.
Anything. It doesn't matter. You can. But you can't empathize with them based on the fact that this is not the Amazing Spider-Man issue number 52 Spider-Man.
Root for. This is a kid who is handed everything and wants to give it all up to go on a school trip.
He wasn't handed everything.
He was handed a drone and information.
He got talked down to by Tony Stark in the first movie several times. I told you to wait. Everything would have been fine if you just waited. Give me the suit back.
He wants to give it up now because he is a 16-year-old boy and he is not ready to be Tony Stark. But the world needs a Tony Stark now.
He was also dead essentially for 5 years.
This is a kid who gets knocked down but gets pulled back up by Tony Stark, by Nick Fury, by Happy Hogan, by his supportive friends. This is a kid who hasn't...
That has to do it.
Should Spider-Man do it all by himself at all times? Should he never have a support system?
I understand Ultimate Spider-Man, there were some issues there. Or was it in the video game where it's just like, how many times did you come back bloody and I had to stitch you up? Like, he's always had support. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. In the first movie, when he goes, "Come on, Peter. Come on, Spider-Man." Mary Jane and Ned were lifting up the bricks. I'm sorry. Was that not him literally picking himself up? After all the doubt and crying and saying, "Help me, I'm down here," and then going, "There's nobody to help me. I gotta do this on my own because I am Spider-Man."
And then when he just goes, "Oh, Vulture is over there," and he's getting away, he calls Hogan, nothing. And he goes, "Well, I don't have a suit, but I'm still going to do what I can. I don't know what you want."
Quite got him. With great power comes great responsibility. This is a kid who has the name Spider-Man, but feels nothing like Spider-Man to me. Peter Parker in the MCU is a happy-go-lucky kid who lives in the shadow of a more interesting, charismatic, and capable hero. And maybe that's the point. He was introduced as a fun side character in Civil War, and from there on out, used to tell us things about Tony Stark and his legacy. The story of Spider-Man shouldn't be a story about Iron Man. The legend of Peter Parker is more important than that.
Yes, and he's forging his own legend.
From Home doesn't take the iconic character of Spider-Man seriously, so why should I take this movie seriously?
How does it not take it seriously?
He stated that he didn't. Don't you remember when he said he didn't take him seriously?
I guess Amazing Spider-Man wasn't taken seriously because he did a sneeze whip to somebody's nuts. Because he brushed Electro's hair. It was like, you're my eyes out here.
This is a good example of getting too attached to it and not being able to properly critique it. Or maybe it's also just HiTop Films sucking. But whatever the case may be, he's just going, oh, it sucks because of this, and then he just moves on because it's one of those, he knows what the issue is for himself, and he just doesn't properly explain it. He doesn't properly put it into a video, and it's not being conveyed why this is breaking your heart other than simply the fact that this is not your Spider-Man. And that's not enough to be like, this is a bad movie or this is a bad adaptation based upon what your perception of what a Spider-Man movie should be.
I honestly wonder if this is one of those situations where a lot of people say you're being too emotional in your review. And people equate that to be you yelling, you getting angry, that type of thing. I wonder if he's just being too emotional in this review, where he feels really bad that this is not his Spider-Man. And so he's just kind of just yelling out, quietly yelling out, this is not my Spider-Man. And he's still doing all the HiTop Films things of the repeating with a thesaurus of words and that type of but he's not really exploring or explaining too many things outside of just, it shouldn't be this way, it should be this way.
It is in the middle, it's just not my Spider-Man, and he has to find ways to justify that. So he just goes, the mentor thing. He doesn't have relatable problems and doesn't really talk about it. It's just, he's not thinking enough about it to properly explain what his issues are, so it's not coming across to somebody like me where he just goes, he doesn't have relatable issues.
While I was downloading this, I saw that JXE had done all of his Spider-Man film from the MCU, I think, and I went, oh, that's what I'm watching next.
Watch later.
Film constantly feels the need to remind you not to take it seriously. Peter is betrayed, beat up, his friends almost...
Don't take everything seriously, because this is, at its heart, a Spider-Man movie. And Spider-Man is not to be taken seriously because he doesn't take himself too seriously. There are always times where now it is time to take it seriously. But at the end of the day, he is just a kid, and he's going to be doing these silly things and making fun of people. And he's super awkward.
Mysterio is dead. But seconds after all this trauma, Peter is smiling because he kissed the girl and saved the day. Nothing is learned. No lasting impact. No emotional weight.
Lasting impact of what? He puts on the glasses, he goes, is this real? And he's shaking that she's also like, hey, there's no more illusion. He's literally limping to MJ and going, is everyone okay? Hey, Doc Ock died. MJ and Peter are up there just having a conversation about their potential relationship. And then she leaves the wedding and sees him in the next scene and he's smiling and kissing her and then go run off to be Spider-Man.
J.K. Simmons returns as J. Jonah Jameson, which in any other franchise or any other movie would be literally the best thing ever, and I would probably cry tears of joy. But I could care less because seconds later, the entire world now knows that Peter Parker is Spider-Man. Any chance of his identity crisis becoming an issue, all the stories and all the drama that comes from him
my Spider-Man. The potential for stories are lost, not what we're potentially gonna get.
Yes, because there's a new potential for stories now.
No,
which is very much a brand new day situation. Which honestly, honestly, not to deal with the devil aspect of it, but I would have liked to have seen at the end the potential of what could have been of Peter's life with a grown up Peter, grown up MJ, and their kid, and he's just like, I'm giving it all up for this. I would have liked to have seen that, but it's so funny because for the third film, No Way Home, HiTop Film made a video that was just like, it basically fixed the MCU Spider-Man. What are we doing here?
Oh man, we're not gonna watch that video.
We're not gonna watch that video.
Don't worry about it.
Hide half of himself is tossed away.
He's already done that for the first two films.
That was 2 movies of it. You wanted more of the same but different. Okay, not a completely different thing that could be just as good or even better. Okay.
If I were an optimistic man, I would say that they could tell some pretty dramatic and cool stories about the entire world knowing he's Spider-Man. It's a very different direction for this classic character, a direction that could be interesting and provide real lasting consequences. But knowing how the MCU has treated Peter, it will probably be brushed off and somehow turned into a running joke. Clearly, I'm not an optimistic man. Spider-Man Far From Home was a theater experience I genuinely wish to forget. I never thought Spider-Man would become this. I never thought I would see a Spider-Man movie that made me feel this empty. I guess I'm just done. You won't see another video from me about this franchise unless they take another major shift in direction. You won't see the dude who has been in love with Spider-Man and been in love with film since he was 4 years old. You won't see my ass in the theaters.
No, they broke me. They broke my love for cinema. Why did you feel the need to bring up that you were a fan of movies?
I can't believe a cape movie could break your love of cinema. It sounds like you don't like cinema like that. You like the way cinema is shot and capes.
If one movie was enough to break that or even shake your foundation, and it's a Spider-Man movie, I don't know, man. You maybe... But he was fairly young. He is fairly young. 20 years old, and he's just like got his whole life ahead of him, and he's just like, oh.
So 2 years ago, Spider-Man Far From Home broke me. Sick, heartbroken. Now I'm about to go see No Way Home, but I have to make a stop first.
Oh, I guess he did go see the movie in theaters. I guess he's just a big fat liar, because when that cape starts coming out,
that
it's just time.
Real quick.
It's just time to consume the cape again. I thought film.
And boy, does that suck. This isn't my Spider-Man.
Not my Spider-Man! This is the One Piece. You said it was the middle. No, sir. It is the end. It was always the end. And how we get to this end, no clue. Shrug shoulders. Say words. Not my Spider-Man.
HiTop is really bad.
He's so bad.
Which would be fine if this was a film I enjoyed outside of that, but it wasn't. This isn't any kind of film series that I care about. If you care about it, that's great. If this Peter works for you, that's great. I don't want to take that away from you. I'm not here to shit on your joy and happiness, and I'm definitely not here to tell you how to feel. All I can do is tell you how I feel, and I feel a little bit heartbroken.
He sucks.
He's really bad. That's a 10 ball.
Yeah, it's a 10 ball.
Josh, are you excited for No Way Home? Ending on. I'd be lying if I didn't admit that my career on here, my success,
oh my God.
We all know it. I should just shut the up. And did I think for a second that Spider-Man No Way Home would change that, would fix that? Was I hopeful? A little. Was I assured? Nah. Was I wrong? Kinda. But first, I'd like to thank the special sponsor of this video, Ren. I don't know if you...
Okay, I just wanted to know if it was a lord or a lady.
I promise you.
Mm-hmm.
I promise you. I went to a random time stamp of this video.
Oh no. There's no way.
How could I have possibly?
I guess we're doing that's on the list.
Because I was looking like, why is he here? Why is HiTop here? You've done a video on your channel.
Yeah.
It's a weird way to start a video, but I have to say it because I know people will just click off this video just because of the title and be like, yeah, this guy's an MCU hater.
Hey, can I pause that real quick? If people are willing to click the title based on click the video based on the title, why would they click off based on the title? They just wouldn't click the video.
About everything except for brown tables. I've got that quarantine hair. I've decided to not cut it, let it rest on my head like a dead animal. You know, nobody's gonna see me, so, you know, and I was like, okay, so they're present in the film Spider-Man Far From Home. Wronged by Tony Stark as just completely and utterly morally wrong. No one in the film, not even the protagonist, makes any effort to understand where the villain is coming from. The main issue comes from Edith, these glasses Tony Stark made, which controls a literal...
Okay, alright.
That's a 10 ball. No real outro here. Don't know what we're doing next. Oh, we do know what we're doing next. You just won't know what we're doing next.
One of them at the very least. Oh, so many people are did the Far From Home.
Not My Spider-Man?
Yeah. Bunch of people.
It's not a good movie, but it's fine.
No, they did a response to his video. So many people did. Alrighty then.
Alrighty.
That'll be interesting for tomorrow. Cause like I said, my job, no more phones, so it is.
That sucks.
I hate it so much. It's so boring.
I'll sit there with my boss walking by, just like, sup, phone out, it's just on the screen. Dude, one of my coworkers, the CTO. So it's the boss's office, the CTO's office, and in between is one guy's computer. He literally walked up to the CTO and just like, hey, I'm playing this game, come check it out. Literally at work.
Film speak. Nothing. Wait. Are they the same
Who's the same mother?
Brown, not Brown Table. Who was this guy? HiTop. Because he did, Film Speak is Marvel Spider-Man 2 is the perfect Spider-Man movie.
Yes.
And HiTop did something like that.
They're not the same, because I think HiTop.
I meant metaphorically.
Yeah, no. Yeah. I mean, they're probably cut from the same cloth.
Definitely are. Shut up.
Oh, it's always a shut up.
Okay. All right. I gotta stop looking at this.
Yes. And what you need to do is say,
the Flash movie is great. Oh, wait. That's on the list.
isn't that like an hour and a half?
It is 49 minutes.
That's so long.
Somehow.
Stop looking through the videos and say the thing. You're still scrolling through the videos instead of saying the thing.
Oh, okay. I saw the huge problem with Cabin and my mind filled in. Cabin in the Woods.
Oh, dude. We'd be doing that tomorrow. Cancel your plans, Chris. I really wish HiTop Film would consume more than capes.
Maybe he does, and maybe that's all that he wishes to talk about. But that's also a big issue.
Yeah, no.
That was a good throw.
You really doing this?
Yep.
You really gonna sit here and not say it?
Yep. Everybody's here on my whim. I decide who gets to leave.
They can leave at any time.
I decide. It's like HiTop. It's like, oh, I can't leave the cinema. I can't stop watching this movie. I need to hear the wee woo.